Albert hasn't made it yet, but he should be here soon. Oh, there he is, just walking in. So I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. For those around the table, please turn on your microphone when speaking. For those participating via Zoom, please state your name when making a comment or asking a question. The MAG public comment process allows members of the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction. If you would like to comment at today's meeting, please complete the request to speak form. MAG staff can assist you with any questions you may have. If you parked in the garage, a validation stamp is available on the counter. If you purchased a transit ticket to come to the meeting, please see staff for a ticket. Hearing assisted devices are available from MAG staff. We will now begin the meeting with a roll call of all members. All right. And MAG staff is going to complete that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
There.
Raquel Starts, City of Apache Junction. Sergeant Craig Martin, Arizona Department of Public Safety. Susan Anderson, Arizona Department of Transportation.
Present.
Dr. Shesong Zhao, Arizona State University. We have proxy. Yeah. Ward Stanford, City of Avondale.
Here.
John Willett, City of Buckeye.
Yeah, Bruce Dressel for John Willett.
Thank you. Dr. Alyssa Dahl, City of Chandler.
Good morning.
Tessa Wessel, City of El Mirage.
Present.
Kieran Jordan, Federal Highway Administration. Mike Sutton, Town of Gilbert.
Here.
Ruben Lopez, City of Glendale.
Good morning.
Hugh Mijak, City of Goodyear.
Present.
Scott Nodes, City of Maricopa.
Oh, hi. This is Munir Zaman. Scott Nod retired from this city, so I took over as the city traffic engineer, and I will be representing the city in the upcoming meetings.
Thank you.
Thanks.
April Wire, Maricopa Department of Transportation.
Good morning, Sten Weber here for April Wire.
Thank you. Micah Henry, City of Mesa.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Steve McKenzie, City of Peoria.
Present.
Simon Ramos, City of Phoenix.
Good morning.
Christopher Wanamaker, Pinal County Public Works.
Hello, Garrett Stanwood for Chrysler Wanamaker.
Thank you. Marshall Regal, Town of Queen Creek.
Marshall has retired, so we might want to reach out to them to see who their new rep is.
John Huang, City of Scottsdale.
Good morning, everyone.
Albert Garcia, City of Surprise.
Good morning, everyone.
Ellie Wollaston, City of Tempe.
Here. Thanks.
Marty Zeke, Valley Metro.
Present.
Did I miss anyone? I missed anyone? Mr. Chair, we do.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, we do have quorum for the committee meeting.
Thank you, Sarvani. So welcome, everyone. One thing I did want to point out, just because we didn't mention who it was Yabing Wong is here from ASU now, here for Dr. Song. So, all right. This is the opportunity for the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda. Informational items or items on the agenda for discussion and not for action. 15 minutes will be provided for the call to audience unless the chair requests an exception to this limit. Have we received any request to speak for the call to audience?
Mr. Chair, members of ITS committee, we have not received any requests to speak.
Thank you. MAG also provides the opportunity for members of the public to submit written comments via the MAG website. Any comments received 2 hours prior to the meeting have been shared with committee members in advance of the meeting for consideration and will be included in the formal meeting minutes. Have we received any online written comments for the call to audience?
Mr. Chair, members of ITS committee, we have not received any written comments.
Thank you. And with that, I will turn it over to Ryan Gish for the MAG staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the ITS committee. Just a couple updates here on the program manager's report. So the first one we have is our TSOP evaluation. We're going to be going through an evaluation of the current traffic signal optimization program. We have hired TTI to support us with the evaluation. This is involving interviews and such with members like you. And just to give a general brief, if you will, it's basically the program is about 20 years old now. And we just want to review current practices and methods on the program itself, and basically just to find ways to support you guys better. Consider this a way of looking for improvements and modifications to the way that we look at it. So hoping to get all of your guys' involvement with this moving forward.
So will they be reaching out to each one of us then and trying to get our input on?
That's correct. We'll be going through that process. So we
Great.
just signed the task order this week. So. But I should mention for fiscal year 26, so the upcoming projects, those will still maintain the same path. Then moving on to the next, we have our Regional Systems Management and Operations Plan, or the SMO. Because I got to come up with something better to say the other one, but we did receive 2 consultant proposals. The evaluation team met earlier this week to discuss and select a consultant. Unfortunately, results will be approved at next week's management committee meeting. So no announcement for today, but just want to let you know that that's on the horizon for next week, Wednesday. And with that, I did want to mention new staff. So Sarvani Duvuri will be our new ITS Engineer 2. She joined us, well, next week is their official start date. So she'll be supporting the ITS program and all the fun projects we have and tasks. And she'll also be joining me for some future ITS kind of visits to you guys. So please give her a warm welcome and look forward to seeing all of us together. With that, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ryan. With that, we'll move on to item number 4, which is approval of the November 6th, which was a long time ago. 2024 meeting minutes. I'll go ahead and give everybody a chance if you want to review those, and then in about 30 seconds, let me know if you have any questions. Has it been 30 days? Okay, hearing no comments. Prior to approval of the meeting minutes, there is an opportunity for members of the public to comment. Have we received any comments for this item?
Mr. Chair, members of ITS committee, we have not received any comments.
Thank you. All righty. Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes for agenda item number 4?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the minutes.
We have movement from Albert to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, and Steve has seconded it. So with that, they are approved. We will have those participating in the meeting online take a part in a voice vote by turning on their cameras and unmuting their audio. We need to see the faces of everyone to participate in the voice vote. For those who cannot or do not want to turn on their cameras, staff will conduct a roll call vote. Staff will only call on those participants who did not turn on their cameras. Members, please leave your cameras on until after the roll call vote so that staff can count the people's names whose cameras are not on. So with that, can I have a voice vote of those in this room first? And those online, I guess, as well. Those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed, say nay. Members, please leave your cameras on. Staff, can you take roll call of all the members participating virtually who did not turn on their cameras?
Munir Zaman,
Yes.
Ano?
Aye.
and I think Micah Henry.
I apologize. My camera is not working, but I approve.
Thank you.
All right. That item is approved. And we'll move on to agenda item number 5. And will you be presenting on that or who? The pilot study? Or is it Simon? Okay, I wasn't sure who was doing it. I didn't see it on there, so it's my fault, everyone. With that, we'll turn it over to Simon, and he'll be presenting on the pilot study of connected vehicle application to enhance incident response and roadway safety.
You gonna read the whole paragraph?
Oh,
too?
sure,
No.
you got it.
That's a joke. That was a joke.
Oh, okay. Well, there wasn't a whole lot more.
No, it's a pretty lengthy paragraph. So good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Thank you for having me. So as promised in previous ITS committee meetings, an update with our connected vehicle test bed in Phoenix, particularly in the Ahwatukee area. So just listing off the project partners. So this project or pilot is a Phoenix funded pilot. We did use our IGA to bring on University of Arizona for this task assignment for the evaluating of the this particular technology, the RSU roadside unit and the OBU onboard unit. With that, U of A subcontracted Western Systems, the distributor for the Unix ITS RSU. And that said, also kind of a shout out with our Phoenix Fire Department. They've been a great partner in this pilot itself, allowing us to utilize some of their resources and eventually installing the OBUs onto the fire trucks to further evaluate the technology. So I can just kind of recapping from the METCD or the revised METCD. The basically states out or spells out the V2V and V2I acronyms. Of course, I'll be preaching to the choir here with, I'm sure everyone here in the room what is familiar with these acronyms. Particularly happy that this region is really kind of embraced and interested in the technology. So just smelling out the connected vehicle technology, it does enable vehicles on the road to be aware of the vehicle's location and status of nearby equipment, particularly traffic signals. No, I missed the graphic, sorry. So that is the RSU. Roadside unit, so basically a communication hub, and it facilitates the communications between the vehicles and and our infrastructure. So a couple of applications and features that comes with the roadside unit is signal optimization. So we can collect travel times, delay, end of queue information, signal timing information, or stat data for intersection safety. This technology can provide the driver kind of a notice or an alert to collisions up ahead, or even avoid possible collisions. Pedestrian safety or bicycle safety / VRU, vulnerable road users. The technology is now expanded to cell phone applications where a pedestrian or bicyclist can have an application to communicate with the RSU itself. So, and then emphasizing on emergency response / EVP, which will be the next slides, is and the crux of basically what we're piloting, the purpose of these RSUs. And then I did miss a bullet point, but also this technology does leverage for transit signal priority as well. So the roadside unit, we did choose the Unix RSU. Operates on a 5.9 gigahertz bandwidth. It also operates in dual mode DSRC/CV2X chipset. And of course, the DSRC has now become obsolete, so you have the ability to disable the chipset itself within. The device is also capable of verifying about 4,000 messages per second. If you have limited communications at your signal or location, it also is able to communicate through a cellular wireless network. And then the range of the device is approximately about 1.5 miles line of sight. So the other half of it is the onboard unit, and this is the device that's actually installed on the fire truck, or in an actual vehicle. So we've been working with the Denso Hercules OBU, and this is an actual snapshot of the OBU within one of our city fleet vehicles. So the way this OBU operates and communicates to the RSU is once it gets within its geospacing or configured geospacing of the RSU system, it's constantly communicating with it at an incredible rate. And then, for example, next slide here, if it enters the EVP zone or the preemption zone, then they will place a request to the traffic signal controller via RSU. There is some processing going on between the controller, RSU, and the OBU. And then ultimately, the controller will provide the preemption and then giving confirmation to the OBU. So this process here takes literally a matter of seconds. So our pilot goals is deploying the roadside units to enhance traffic safety and reduce incident response time using this connected vehicle technology. And also the primary focus from U of A standpoint is to compare the effectiveness and efficiency of the devices themselves. And then ultimately coming up and providing a cost benefit analysis, basically allowing us to determine our best bang for our buck. So Ahwatukee, I'm sure everyone's familiar with the area. So there's about 40 identified locations. All of these icons represent a traffic signal or a hawk or pedestrian hyper beacon. So the red icons or the red centered icons indicate existing traditional EVP technology, so /Tomar or 3M. The green or Tiffany green colored circles are locations that's been deployed with the RSUs, been configured, and are currently operating. And then the yellow icons, we're moving to the stage 2 of our pilot to install the rest of them. So we did procure, and we do have the RSUs at our signal shop, which has been kind of slowed down a little bit from project to project, and particularly with our smart grant installations. So focusing on the EVP preemption, so we are looking for opportunities to either supplement, complement, or possibly even replace the traditional EVP equipment. So the way the geospacing works is the onboard unit is then detected within the intersection zone, so the geospacing can be broken down by lane. So the accuracy and kind of GPS locating of the device itself is pretty accurate. So probably touts anywhere by about a 6 foot by 6 foot area or spacing. So the RSU knows where the OBU is at, what direction it's going, the speed it's going, and so on. So there's not just with EVP applications, but you can imagine other applications or use cases for this technology as well. So this technology also works and can operate time of day. So if you were to lay out a geospacing, say within a school zone, around the hawk, you can have that on and off as well. So I'm sure you're going to ask how we're collecting the data. So right now the university is working with our fire department to gain access to the fire department's CAD system data. So response times, such things, other metrics and such. So for now, they've run and used the WaveSync, formerly known as TransSync, time-space diagram as a probe vehicle data. So they did run some travel time runs, and they did some comparisons between the OBU being on and the OBU being off, realizing the Pro vehicle doesn't have flashing lights or doesn't have the presence of a fire truck, but again, some early metrics to be collected. So showing the before and after and reduction in travel time and delay, you can see there was a significant reduction. So another kind of a side, a spinoff with the RSU, the Phoenix Fire Department's starting to deploy and install the Haas Alert transponder units. So I'm sure some of your vehicles are already equipped, and this messaging that you're getting from fire trucks is now being familiar throughout the valley. So we've asked the two companies to come to the table to see how we can integrate both the transponder and the OBU. So it's basically one device in the truck, utilizing also their cellular network to disperse other types of messaging as well. So smart work zone applications and such. Here's an example of another message from the RSU to the OBU, where you can actually display to the driver the countdown of the green light at the traffic signal. And another example, and then we're working, probably this will be later on down the road as a stage or phase 3 of this project, is how do we integrate this with our video detection systems, particularly in crosswalks. So this is an example is a video detection system, detects the pedestrian in the crosswalk or the pedestrian is on the landing. That information then goes to the RSU, then dispersed over to the OBU. So this another element, not so much related to connected vehicle, but I felt that this would be of interest of MAG, since the conversation did start in the MAG work group in EVP, and basically this image here is based off of the study that was produced about 3-4 years ago. So they do have a scenario 1, or sorry, scenario A, B, and C, and currently City of Phoenix operates in scenario A, where the 2 concurrent through movements are dwelling as the EVP gets triggered. By the request by our fire department, we've been asked to investigate and evaluate scenario C, where you'll just have the approach on or the green on, and all the other movements will be red. That said, if there's a concurrent left turn movement associated with that through movement, then that green arrow will be on as well. So with our CV technology, this really segues into our partnership with Maricopa County Department of Transportation on the CVAZ grant for Connected Vehicles Acceleration Zone. This project's going to involve up to about 700-ish RSUs to be installed within the Phoenix right away. So kind of tying the 2 projects together, another gain benefit and leg up that we got out of the Ahwatukee test bed is staff is now familiar, project ready, or ready, they have the readiness, and have been trained on the RSU technology, how to program it, what's it for, why do we need it, and we pretty much got buy-in from our signal shop. So with that, thank you everyone for your time, and if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask, or you can pull me aside, or you know how to get a hold of me. If you need contact information from the vendors or the university, I can forward those contact information to you as well.
Before opening it up completely to questions, I did want to say thanks. Phoenix did offer a little training or experience on some of this as well over at their signal shop. And so thank you for that as well. I was able to make it over for some of that. And does anyone have any questions on this that they'd like to ask?
Mr. Chair, I have a couple. So Simon, it's really intriguing. So thank you so much for sharing this information. Can you share a little bit more information on how the RSU is interacting with the controller? Is it directly connected? Is it tied to the contact closure card for the?
It is going, well, via through the switch, but basically it's the Ethernet port ties into your switch, and then basically NTCP protocol.
Okay, so then it is sending an actual just NTCP command to the controller
Mhm.
for that specific. Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
That said, if
Um,
anyone's interested in a,
This is Lisa from Chandler. I had a question. Is U of A going to publish a paper on that? Just curious
they
on their
will,
findings.
it will,
Okay.
they will, and it'll be available on the city website as well.
Okay, thank you.
This is probably, you probably already said it and I just missed it. Are you are you only putting these RSU OBU system at places that didn't already have an Opticom or a Tomar, or are you doubling up in some places?
That we're doubling up on some places.
Okay,
so,
then
yeah.
can I ask, how do you tell the difference between an OBU call to the controller and a Tomar call to the controller?
So when they say the switch is on for the entire area, then it'll totally rely on the RSU itself. So does that make sense?
So I mean, I guess just how do you know which one came in first? Which call came in first?
It sounds like, were you saying you disabled the preemption when you put
Right.
these other, that's what he was saying. So only
Yeah.
one of them is working.
Oh, I
That's
see.
what- that's-
Oh,
even
it
though
is,
they're
it
both
is
there.
one or the other, not both concurrently.
Ultimately, it will be one, yes.
Okay,
But-
that's interesting.
And
yeah.
and then how do we know? Then basically through their dashboard, we can collect that information that the RSU got confirmation of the call.
Thanks.
Well, that is interesting. So, City Surprise has deployed a similar solution. It's not via V2I connected. It's more, I guess in some aspect it is, but it's cloud based and centrally commanded. So the vehicles have a device on the vehicle that is sharing its location and sharing its status of the lights. And very similar to the system that you guys have deployed. Once those 2 bits of information are true, the vehicle's in a geofence and the lights are on, then it will then communicate to our ATMS, and then it will send that same NTCP command. And I kind of wanted to chime in on your question because ours does not disable. So we've maintained both the optical and the GPS based system, and we don't have a way of knowing which one is which. But to be honest, I mean, I don't know that it really matters for us. The reality is, I think in some spaces where the geofences are relatively shorter, the optical probably hits first. But we do have some locations where we've extended geofences either quite significantly in length, so they're much farther than the range of the optical, or we have had situations where we've actually placed geofences on a parallel roadway that, for example, if you have a emergency vehicle traveling westbound just south of the major arterial, and there's a small little collector street that leads into a business development, by the time they were to turn, it wouldn't see it. So we're actually actuating based off of the GPS probably 20-30 seconds prior than what the optical would be. There is no conflict with either of them. The controller recognizes a call for preemption, just like it would be with 2 trucks coming in or competing. It sees it, understands first in, first out type of scenario.
I guess one question that brings up, do you guys have agreements with like surrounding jurisdictions that like respond to Phoenix, like if their truck is closer?
We don't, and that's particularly one of the reasons why we chose Ahwatukee. It's kind of one isolated area. So we do have somewhat reliable communications as well. If something goes haywire, we can immediately start shutting these devices off.
Yeah, and I'll follow up on that one too, Steve. So we did have some initial discussion. Just there were some significant challenges in getting those agreements in place, which is part of the reason that we did keep our optical system in place. And at this point, I do think that for the vast majority of our intersections, we intend to maintain those optical systems. As we start to understand how the system operates, because it's only really been in full deployment for just a few months. So we're still working through some of those deployment kinks, if you will. But I do think that maybe some of the smaller intersections or some of the intersections where we don't have a ton of mutual aid responses, that we may, through attrition, abandon the optical side.
Well, with that, are there any other questions?
Yes, Ward with Avondale. Hey, Simon, on the delay improvements that you showed earlier, how is that happening? How are the delays physically better with the OBU Senate, the connected vehicle versus the Opticom? What's taken place to make them be able to get through better?
They're basically getting the preamp. So the pro vehicle is triggering the preamp. So that's reducing that delay or wait time.
Is it getting it sooner than the Opticom is or the Tomar? I'm just wondering, you know, with the traffic crowd that may be at an intersection, how is it effectively moving it out of the way to get these delays and stuff?
Ward, this may help a little bit. Did you guys go in and update your preemption, like, and make sure? Yeah, so they're dealing with some older equipment, and I know you in your city had some of those issues, so you replaced some of it where they may not be getting it as far back as they could with the optical. And so
Okay.
it's a great improvement putting in, you know, these roadside units. So
I got you. Okay. Thank you.
And that's because of the physical attributes of the signal. So a lot of you know, if you don't have, you know, if your signal's on recall or PED recall in particular, Phoenix doesn't truncate PED clearance calls. So it's going to still serve out the PED clearance time and then, you know, give priority.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you, Sam.
are there any other questions before we move on?
I just had two more points. So if anyone's interested in a demonstration, feel free to contact me or my staff or directly to Western Systems, and they'd be happy to provide one. And if pleases the committee, I'd be happy to follow up in another 6 months and provide an update.
That sounds good. I'll just make one quick comment is obviously we would all be better off in the region, even though we think we wouldn't if we had one system to lead them all. So hopefully someday we'll lead to that. But it is a really difficult place to get to. Like in Gilbert, we would have to maintain both because we have, you know, so many police vehicles. All of our police vehicles have preemption, every single one of them.
Oh, wow.
Nobody would want us to be in their city. So anyways, so as an example, there are still some things to work through, but I hope someday we can get to that point because it would make it so much easier. And if it's tied to funding and everything else, I mean, that's the light at the end of the tunnel for me. So with that, let alone all the additional information we can give, you know, to regular people, you know, other than emergency vehicles at some point with something similar. So it is exciting. So thank you, everyone. And with that, we will move on to the next item, which is the review of INRIX Signal Analytics Pilot and the next steps. This item is on the agenda for information and discussion and will be presented by Wang Zhang, MAG Transportation Data Program Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of MAC and these committees. I'm here to provide a review of a pilot study we tried in last year, 2024, with the INRIX Signal Analytics platform, as well as our next step for your information and discussion. So before I jump into the our pilot effort, I think just want to provide some background and information regarding how technology works. Again, this is another successful, you know, use case application potentially gets built on the connected vehicles technologies. When you talk about connected vehicle, it's such a huge domain, such a versatile tools that can be used for different kind of application. But this, effort is primarily built on the movement data generated by the connected vehicle data. For example, I think this platform that put together by INRIX is built based on 3 to 15 seconds ping rates of the connected vehicle data, with about a penetration rate at 4 to 6% in our region, then translate to about 140,000 cars running on the road every day, every hour for a few years, connecting the data. So it's a very similar mechanism like the floating car runs. To try to imagine what the traffic and mobility data gets connected through the floating car technologies, you can essentially mimic the same process, but return with much, much more volume of the data. Again, this is primarily generated by the passenger cars, so there's no trucks movement involved. So the example on the right-hand side is showing you one of the main application we can tap on this technology to help us is to measure intersections control delay. So time-space diagram, when you look at that additional delay measured by this connected vehicle data, we can essentially use that to to measure how busy or how congested our arterial signals works. Can I ask Taylor please to play this video for me? So while it plays, so this is showing simultaneous comparison of the trajectories from the floating car rounds. Let's say we do probably 6 to 8 rounds every time for a corridor, and simultaneously how many potentially rounds you can get, every day through the connected vehicle data technology on the right-hand side. So you see way more trajectories passing through a particular segments or corridors in I think this is in McDowell, just north of I-10. Just give you a sense of how much more data can be potentially gathered through this the data. And then I did some, just a simple calculation. So let's say we do floating car rounds on a particular corridor, maybe 6 to 8 rounds, and we have to make our decision based on the measurements or data connected through 6 to 8 rounds of the floating car rounds, as compared to the CVD-based, rounds. If we're looking at a segment has 20,000 ADT versus 30,000 to 50,000 ADT, when you aggregate overlap, stack them up over 1 year, so essentially comparing 6 to 8 rounds to like 350, 500,000 to even 840,000 rounds. So that's essentially 40,000 more or 60,000 more, even 100,000 more times of the data you can potentially get on a yearly basis, as compared to what we used to do with floating car rounds. So again, to the bottom, I think we are switching from the water droplets, like the floating car round. You just get a very small sense of what's going on with your arterial network to a whole data lakes. So there's way much more volume of the information we can build the analytics on, we can digest, we can use that to measure our system. So when it comes to arterial traffic management, so this new technology provides us a continuous coverages in terms of measuring and monitoring control delay. And also it's infrastructure free. There's no installation required. It's completely provided by the cars that are running on the road 24/7. And because of that, it gives us some benefit in terms of the cost effectiveness. So coming back to the pilot, we did, with some of the member agencies here in the MAC region, and in last year, 2024, we turned on signal coverages at 80 locations, and that's showing on the map. So this platform give you on the time period level every day, what is your level of service, which I'm showing on the right-hand side, average control delay, percent of arrival, or excessive delay, like whatever every vehicle experience more than 3 minutes, delays passing through the intersection by any given movement. So before the meeting, I overheard the discussion between Steve and Simon talk about one, intersections at the Grand Avenue and the Indian School that Steve had to sit through 5 times speed filter to pass through the intersections. So this platform, as long as we have coverage on that and signals, can actually give you quantitatively, how long do you experience delay at any given time. Again, when you talk about the sample rates, just keep in mind, when we have to go out to do a T-star evaluation, we run a couple of rounds on the corridor level. And I think I put 1 day of data, that's a Tuesday in last month on the February 19th. And think about it's only 4 to 6% of the traffic. But at different locations, we have 2,900 of the rounds. On Bell and 99th Avenue. Another example, we have almost 4,400 of the rounds at Scottsdale and Bell Road in Scottsdale. So we're able to leverage all the data together and just 1 day, provide you with the measurements. How much more confidence of the results you can get from this platform versus, measuring the system with, just a few times of the floating car rounds. So please keep that in mind. Again, if we're able to chain multiple adjacent or consecutive signal together, we can look at particular, corridors performance in different ways. I think it will give you a number of the floating car rounds at the corridor level, which is essentially all the connected vehicle traveling from the first point of the corridor to the last point of the corridor. It gives you the space diagram distribution at any given interested time window you want to look at. For example, the green one, the trajectory are the ones are able to, pass through the particular intersection without experiencing a stop, but all the red lines, which a majority of them had to make the stop at particular intersections. Those are what this platform is about. Another major function is this platform can organize and produce some high level of the summary of how your signal is performing at your jurisdiction and send out this emails with your preference every day, every week, or every month that help you really understand and monitor how my system is working recently. Or if you want to go out to tweak a particular signal timing at a particular signal, and this data can give you some instantaneous feedbacks of how does it work, or it will give you the chance to go back to fix again, click again, and come back, do a few iterations until you're happy with whatever result you want to put on. So just a summary of this pilot efforts. When we turn on 80 signals in last year, MAC continued to monitor the sample rates, making sure it arrived to the certain threshold to satisfy a certain type of analysis. We also validate the measurement quality because we also have the connected vehicle data feeds maintained in our shop. So we're able to see very strong similarities between our own calculation and what is being reported by INRIX. We provided the access to MAC member and Sonar member agencies for them to play with in the last year. And we interview many users to gather their feedbacks of their user experience. And we essentially build some use cases on top of this platform as well. And in the last couple of months, we've been trying to define what will be the next step come in the year of 2025. So just summary of the feedback from our pilot users. I think most of the users, most agencies would like to see more intersections turn on with coverages within this platform. And we also see lots of those agencies think that the control delay is the most important measurement. They're looking for continuous measurements of the control delay by turning movement at intersections. We think that's kind of valuable information we can provide to our member agencies. And then some of them think, we can use this tool to help monitor the critical arterial corridors and also to facilitate the coordination between multiple agencies when it comes to managing an extremely long corridor that trace past multiple agencies. So those are the main feedbacks we would like to share with the committee. Many use cases can be developed from these solutions, but we think, using that to monitor the intersection performance is probably the most important ones. And then potentially we're looking into working with the Ryan's staff, we're looking into, is there any value that we can use this platform to help us or facilitate our TSOP evaluation? What information can be connected by the floating car and what information can be provided by this platform? Do we see a jump or do we jump to the next level by switching to that? So we're looking into that. Travel time monitoring can be done through this platform. Corridor management, we already talked about. MAC essentially built a routine. We can just do the batch download of the historical data and build traffic condition monitoring tools of our regional arterial traffic conditions from the analytics of this platform. And then, we can also work with our modelers to use this information to serve as a source for our model calibration and validation, whether it's travel demand model in the high level or at the micro simulation level. I think you will find there's different cases to suit for this type of data. So really probably the most important slides for my presentation today is here. What's next? So we have decided and signed a new subscription contract with INRIX to expand our coverages to 250 locations. So we will now already consume 200 of them. There will be 50 locations. We will spread it out to all the member agencies through the ITS committees to have you guys, give us some wish list location. We'll help you turn it on. And first of all, we probably want to let you guys look at where are those 200 locations are. I think there's a majority of those 200 locations we had to turn on based on the lesson we learned, because I think this technology should work fantastically at those really busy arterial intersections. I think that's where this technology can really shine the most. So we have them turned on, and also we purposely link multiple important intersections together to construct the corridors. We don't like to have a super long corridors with like a 30, 40 signals or turn on. That doesn't work out well because you barely see a particular connected vehicle or anybody drive along the arterial corridor to stay on that direction of the travel for like more than 10, 20 miles, right? So we like that. So there's a couple of concepts we follow in constructing those 200 locations. After this committee meeting, we will share the information with you. I think some of them already have access to that. That's still valid. Go ahead and use that. You should, once you log in, you should be able to see those. If you're interested in getting a new access, contact Ryan and me. We'll get you set up. So, like I said, there are already lots of the locations get turned on, and we will have another 50 turn on with your desire. So there's no limit of the logins because I think the suppression is based on number of signals. So we already take care of that. Just let us know how many of your teammates would like to access to that. So there's also going to be the historical data feeds towards all the 250 locations. Everything will date it back to December 2022. So you will able to access some of the historical data and those signals as well. So we will arrange in-person training by inviting URIC staff here to give us a tutoring. I think that's going to be in first week of April. We have not decided yet, but we'll make sure we invite all the users to this in-person meeting. And then there will be monthly check-in office hours arranged once a month for us to be participating optionally, and just to give all the users a chance to share the feedback, ask questions with INRIX present. So that's our plan for the next year, and we're really excited to provide this to all of you through the ITS committees. So we will follow up with more information by email after this meeting, and we'll take it from there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wang. Do any committee members online or here in person have any questions for him?
Hey, Mike, this is Micah with City Mesa. I got a couple questions and comments. Do the dots on the map represent the projected locations for the new data points, or are they just general representative of, hey, we're going to put some new locations out?
Thank you, Mr. Henry. So that's still the draft. I would say majority of them would stay. And we're still working with INRIX on some details. We're still making some tweaks. Having said that, I think that's a 200 we'd like them to turn on. We'll give our member agencies a chance to submit some wish list locations for another 50 in total.
Okay. I just want to let everybody know, this is my comment, that we're working closely with Wang and INRIX to get the Ellsworth Road corridor included and have the travel time metric be available for the corridor analysis. And then it helped us retime that corridor through the Mesa section. So we found that very enlightening and a very powerful tool to get the information we were doing. We started retiming at the end of last year, and we're carrying over into this year. Needed to make an adjustment to the corridor analysis tool, got that fixed, and then we've been modifying cycle lengths and offsets to figure out what the best flow was. But we were using INRIX to do the evaluation. So want to appreciate MAG for providing this tool. So I think it's a good one.
And I'll second that as well. participation in this project has been beneficial. While it hasn't solved all of our problems, but it has helped us, you know, when there is an issue, to recognize it. And most of the time it has been there's some type of incident or whatever else, but it does recognize it. I mean, that the data was fairly on point as far as when anytime something changed or there was a anomaly, we could usually figure out, hey, what happened out here, and the data was valid. So thank you as well, you know, MAG, for letting us be part of that also. Are there any other questions?
This is Mike again. Just want to comment that
You're
Mason
only-
doesn't have a lot of dots on there. I would like to rectify that situation if at all possible, but we can talk about that in the future.
Okay, that's your limit on questions, Micah.
All right. Legit.
I'm kidding. Ask all you want. But anyways, is there anything else anyone would like to add to that?
Yeah, so I have a quick question. This is Yanbing Wang from ASU. Thank you very much for your information. So just a quick question. Do you know if the INRIX data has a coverage of the freeway as well, in addition to the arterial?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Wang, for your question. Are you specifically asking the connected vehicle data provided through INRIX or in general INRIX mobility data?
She's new to the area, so I would tell her about the general, you know, coverage as well, and then go into your specifics. Just because, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so pretty much both the specific connected vehicle data as well as the general INRIX. Yeah.
Okay, so I can briefly touch on that. So INRIX provide segment level at the TMC through different mechanism. I think there's a contract signed between Arizona DOT and INRIX. Through that contract, all the public agencies under within state can get access to that. So that's how MAG gets access, and all our member agencies potentially get access to the INRIX speed and the travel time data portal, which is called PDS Suite, Pro Data Analytics Suite. But that's not built on top of the connected vehicle data. So the INRIX signal analytics, I believe, only cover whenever there's a signal present. So that will include all the arterial intersections, freeway ramp to arterial intersections, even ramp meters. I think they just turn on the coverage on the ramp meters as well. So that might be of interest of our ADOT as well. So it does not cover, to answer your question, the connected vehicle data. I'm not aware of INRIX have developed any application in terms of mobility measurement goals on the freeway.
Gotcha, thank you.
And I don't know if this is interesting to you as well, but with a lot of these MAG projects, we have used the INRIX data to evaluate, you know, the level of improvement, put it that way. You know, and when we make some of our TSOP, you know, changes or whatever else, we will look back at that and see if, you know, anything has changed. So as part of the study. So, and that's from the ADOT part, not the part that, you know, he's talking about today.
Perfect. Thank you for your information.
All right. With that, are there any other questions before we move on?
Hello, this is Susan with ADOT.
Go ahead.
Hey, okay. Yeah, I just wanted to chime in on this as well. I know ADOT's very interested in understanding how well the signal analytics platform works. And again, wanted to reiterate, just as what was mentioned, for those agencies that are interested, ADOT is collecting, I guess, information, and we've made the Probe Data Analytics platform available to all the member agencies within the state. So if people at your agency would like to use that, please contact us and we'll get you on the list. I know Buckeye just did this, so we're happy to help out and share this information. Granted, the information we're purchasing from NREX is different from what MAG is doing right now, but we're definitely interested in seeing how this works out. So thank you so very much for the presentation.
Thank you, Susan. Last chance for any other questions on this? All right, here we go. With that, we're going to move on to the RCN, or Regional Community Network for Broadband Communications. And this is also for information and discussion, and Ryan Gish will be presenting on it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the ITS committee. This item was at request by Mr. McKenzie, so I'm going to call him out, but also followed up and also requested additionally by other agencies, which I can let you guys talk about that. This item is going to be a little different than you would normally have with a formal presentation and then up for a discussion, but it's mostly going to be led by you guys here. But to give a quick background, so we all know the RCN, have used it for different applications, different things, but little did you know, it's actually about 15 years old. So still in its teen years, but original design was back in early 2000s. And then with some design, some funding, about 2009, the RCN was actually constructed. And that that included a joint effort with MAG and ADOT to create some of these interagency links or fiber links between a few of you. And so with that, the network has expanded over the past 15 years. We've added some agencies that weren't originally connected. We've also expanded within your local agencies to use some of your, let's say you loaned out fiber to bring on some of your departments within your agency. Aside from the infrastructure expansions, we've also done some wireless hops to kind of help improve those connections. Aside from that, we've also expanded to applications. So several different applications are riding across it. Not just for your traffic, or which traffic is always the primary use, but we have expanded upon that to offer it to information technology side or your information technology department, let's say public works, also your public safety or police, also your emergency services as in fire. Of course, the big one now is the real-time crime center is using it for some of their joint sharing. But aside from that, I guess want to get to the actual use of what we want to talk about today. This right here is, I think it's been discussed before and actually in some of the original development and guidelines of the RCN, so policies, procedures. This broadband communication was actually brought up, and it's actually something that's part of the RCN if it was ever needed. And to kind of expand on broadband, instead of just saying broadband, it actually is more of like an actual internet connection through the RCN. And it was brought up for agencies that maybe didn't have the means for that, or ways to get out to the internet. So it's something that's actually part of the RCN, but we would definitely need to go back and do a little bit more digging into it. But I kind of want to open this up for discussion with you guys. It's basically just, I'd like you to go through maybe discussing any type of needs, concerns, benefits, and efforts that it might take, and on to maybe even the costs if we need to. So with that, I will kick it off to you guys, and maybe I'll pick on Steve.
Sure. So I had originally approached Ryan and the use of the RCN. One of the things that we've struggled with, and I've heard this from other cities, is we have a good group of IT staff at the city level. We're not dependent upon them for our traffic network, but when it comes to access to the internet, porting data out to the cloud through the firewall the city provides, and even as far as VPN access for our vendor support, or for ourselves, for our own staff. Oftentimes the IT are short-staffed, and so their responsiveness is oftentimes lacking. And in those instances where we're dependent upon whether it's Wi-Fi readers that are pushing data out to the cloud, a lot more applications as far as video detection and those type of things are now cloud-based. So there's that need to port the data out, and we're dependent upon IT and their time frame to get to it. Whereas when we've used the RCN for something like our adaptive system on Bell Road and also on Olive, we are utilizing the RCN for the signals to communicate to each other. And the responsiveness from MAG's side has always been literally within hours. They're able to respond and look into and troubleshoot and do things like that. So thank you to Ryan in particular and his staff over the years to be able to respond to things like that. But I've seen the benefit of using the RCN for that type of data communication and pushing data from, multiple jurisdictions and things like that. And I'd really like to just be able to expand it to, basically just if we can get the internet and the internet usage to be able to do that through the RCN, it would give me another quicker path for a lot of our daily applications and things like that. So that's why I brought it up, and just like to, look into that, pursue it. I would ask if MAG staff, if other agencies are also interested, if this is something that we could ask to, look into what it would cost, MAG, to take on this effort and possibly expand the use, and obviously the policy changes that would take.
This is Mike with the town of Gilbert. I just wanted to kind of second some of what Steve said. I agree with it. I'll make this short and sweet, but we have had some issues at times. Many times it is, some level of security issues that they feel that they want to address, or, whatever else. And we've actually have discussed some of this with our IT group, and they actually way back in the day, early on, and some of those people are still there, had made the suggestion as well as maybe we could get a secure connection through MAG to kind of keep us a little bit more separate and everybody get along a little bit better. And it would help us, like when we were working with TTS to try to get a connect when they were around, but to try to get a connection in to get some of the signal data, out to the Audi and the Mercedes vehicles there at the time. But they just couldn't ever get around to making it work, even though we'd done it in the past. It was so simple. It was so whatever. But if we had had this other connection, it would have been smooth. And I can only anticipate, especially with all the new work going on, like what Simon's working on with the roadside units, whatever else, and trying to get some of that data in and out. That's great. They didn't have a good understanding either of some of our requirements with second-to-second communications. They would try to go, oh, hey, use our data lake. Well, it's going to take like 6 seconds. That was like the fastest they could hope to go, And so, there were a lot of problems with trying to work with them and even at times access for some of our vendors, like, our Centrac system to have a Conolite get in and out. It was just cumbersome. And so if we could make this work, I personally feel like it would be very beneficial for Gilbert in general and those others in the region that may be, suffering from the same concerns, I guess, or hurdles. Is there any comments from anyone else, either at the table or online?
I'll go. So I think hearing what your IT department is talking about, Mike, we might have an opposite situation where our IT department is not at all interested in us getting more separate. They want us to be more combined.
It's not more separate in the sense, and I know what you're saying, but it is more them not having to worry about some of those connections. They honestly couldn't figure out a way that they were happy with to have a Conolite access our stuff, through it. And some of that is the changes they're making, going virtual and going to the cloud themselves and going through all the channels that they, require to get back in. They could make it work, but they chose not to put it that way. So then we have to have a person come on site.
Yeah. I think from my perspective, it seems like anything we explore through the MAG RCN, it seems like something that, Peoria could choose to do it one way and we can keep doing it our way and this wouldn't interfere. So I do think it's a good idea to go ahead and explore what this would take and what, as long as we can keep it, that if the way you're using it now is the way you're going to continue to use it, then that seems totally fine. That seems like a good idea.
Yeah, and I'll just jump in, Ellie. There was no effort on my part or intention that this would be something that would change the way that any of us do business. It would be an opportunity for those agencies that, because I know that there's from agency to agency, things vary so much. There's some of you that are already reliant on IT for your fiber network. That's not the case on our part and many other agencies' parts where we manage the fiber network and we provide a service to the other departments IT, SCADA, police, anybody that needs it, we're there to support that. So by no means was this an effort to like change the way the RCN works or how you use it from agency to agency. We've just found that oftentimes IT and even some of the third-party network engineers and network companies that are being brought in to help basically change even the infrastructure within our IT department. You talk to them. I had a meeting yesterday with some of them. They don't understand field equipment. They don't understand signals at all. They keep referring back to our network as a camera network.
Mm-hmm.
That's just one piece of what we do and what we use our systems for. We already have the luxury to share camera usage, but that's just one application and one thing that we do, and trying to explain to them the software needs oftentimes, and that need for that software to push data out, whether it's to the cloud, whether it's to somebody else, whether it's a joint. Many of us in the West Valley, at least, are on the same ATMS software. I can see some real hassles and some problems trying to go through our own IT firewalls to get information out, but the RCN, on the other hand, is a perfect conduit to do those type of things. And so I'd just like to kind of expand and look into those things so that we have also some more ability to provide our vendors with support, whether it's a VPN account. I'm not trying to make anything less secure. That's not our intent at all. We want it to be secure. We don't want the public or people to be able to hack in. And we understand the security and the cybersecurity side of things. We're just wanting to look at other alternatives.
This is Ruben with City of Glendale. I'd like to share some of Steve's frustrations, or I could say that we do share similar frustrations. We are responsible for managing the fiber network within Glendale and the traffic signal network. However, we had to push a lot of items through IT, through their core switches and their firewall. And we've had network failures around State Farm Stadium during a football game or another mega event. And Glendale's IT, we brought these concerns to them and they tried to push us through their help desk. Well, that's going to give us somebody that doesn't know anything about our network or even how to search out what port is failing for our network. So I think it's a good idea, something we should search together. I'd like to join that effort, but we share similar frustrations. It's not easy dealing with the IT department. They have a delayed response and they don't see the issue that we see, and they don't prioritize it as in the same way that we would as an ITS group, I guess, in Glendale.
Thank you, Ruben. Are there any others that would like to comment?
Hello, this is John with the City of Scottsdale. I have a question for Steve and Ruben. Do you guys meet with IT or even LA and Tempe? Do you guys meet with IT regularly? Or only as needed when you have an issue or an ask?
I'll comment first while they're thinking, because you didn't mention Gilbert, but I will say that we do have a monthly meeting that we meet with IT, even if nothing is wrong, every single month. And we meet with them probably about 5 times a week on different issues at the very least. But go ahead.
Yeah, and I'll second that. We meet on a regular basis with IT on a monthly basis. We also meet with our SCADA folks that are reliant on IT for their network. And then we work, our police department, we work with on a daily basis. They share the same frustrations. And we're just bringing on our real-time crime center. I'll just put it this way, our traffic cameras are already integrated into the new Fusus system that our real-time crime center is using. They're really, really struggling to bring the IT run camera systems Not a single one of our buildings is connected and working for the police yet. But we do work with IT on a regular basis, John, to answer your question.
Okay, well, it sounds like a good first step, right? I'll share with you guys what we are doing here. We have we call it a fiber committee. So that's including everybody that has fiber. That's ITS, IT, water, even now PD. PD has been a big part of it. So if we have a game plan or something like that for PD, we all work together and trying to make it work. And the same thing with ITS. If we have something that we want to push, we meet with them, and most of the time they'll let us do whatever we want, right? We just like you guys said, they're almost like a gatekeeper, right? They shut down your stuff, or there's a communication that has to be done through the help desk or something like that. But I think that's at least for what I'm seeing, is very helpful if we just we meet regularly, weekly, and whatever issues or what are projects coming up, we just kind of work through it. And so far, so good for us. So I just want to share that with you guys.
All right, let me make one quick comment. I know Steve was given some background and we all had given a little bit. This isn't about between any of our ITS and IT bashing. Yes, there are some issues or whatever there, but we're not trying to solve any of those issues. The question at hand is, would we like to have an internet connection through the RCN in its basic form? I mean, you can think of it as, hey, if you have your cell phone and your cell service goes down and you're in this building, you go, oh, I can connect to the Wi-Fi. Think of it that simple. It's just another connection to the outside should you lose your connection. Okay, and then how we use it in different ways and the problems it solves is something else. If you think that that's beneficial, that's more what this discussion is around. Is there anyone else that feels like they would like to join that effort, or are we allowed to go ahead and make a motion to make this an item, for you to focus on, or you just want to bring it back? And
we can bring it back at next meeting.
Okay.
If not before then, we can do some exploration, what it would take on our side. Because it sounds like we could, I believe from this group, it's technical policy, but I believe we can generate some type of evaluation on the RCN and see what this would take, and we could explore all different options and all different concerns.
yeah, and I think it would be good for you to do that, because allowing us to share, just like, with the luxuriate stuff, that happened between all of us talking, and it's there. And now some people, and whether it's your IT group or whatever else, now they're like, oh yeah, we can do that. We can make it work. I think this is another opportunity. Like our IT group was in favor of it. It's not because we hate each other and have tons of conflict or whatever else. It's just because they're like, hey, look, we wouldn't have to worry about this. You guys can worry about it, and we can go ahead and make things as secure as we can. And your stuff, you can keep over here, and it can come and go as it pleases. So to make it simple, if anyone else would like to either reach out to Ryan or put their name on this list, so far it's Peoria, Glendale, and Gilbert is all that I see that are more interested than not. And I'm sure some of you are fine having another connection. I mean, no one's going to probably argue about that. But if there is anyone else that would like to be added to that list and have Ryan reach out to him, let us know here or reach out to Ryan separately.
Yes, Avondale.
Chandler.
Okay.
All right, with that, thank you. And was there anything else you wanted to add, Ryan, at all?
No, Mr. Chair, I'm good.
Okay. Then we'll go ahead and move on to item number 8. And that is the request for future agenda items. Are there any requests for the membership for an item on a future agenda other than the one we just discussed? It's already there. The next agenda, go ahead if there's anything that anyone would like to add. I'm waiting for another 20 seconds, and if no one adds anything, we're going to move on to the next item. All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to comments from the committee. Are there any comments or announcements from the membership? Anyone would like to bring up or discuss or let us know what's going on in your area? Are we going to go around, or are we just asking for a general response?
Or just ask for general.
Okay, so if anyone wants to bring anything up, this is your chance, either online or in the room.
I will just bring up one thing because it's tip related. ADOT awarded the contract for our Lake Pleasant Parkway adaptive, which was a 2022 project, and Deer Valley Road adaptive, which was a 2024 project. So those two projects got combined, still separate funding sources, but one advertisement. One vendor was selected. CS Construction is the prime, so they'll be doing the installation of the product, but the product is MyoVision SureTrack, which is part of their video detection system and a module that goes in it. So all 28 intersections in those two corridors will be getting outfitted with MyoVision fisheye cameras, two at each intersection, as well as advanced detection, video detection systems that MyoVision provides, and then SureTrack, which will be the optimizer that for the adaptive portion. So that's about it. We haven't really even had a kickoff meeting yet with them, but that's what I can share at this point.
Thank you, Steve. I'll make a comment for Gilbert on this, and that is we finished installing, a lot of the detection cameras and hardware with part of the project that was also funded, through that. And we're working with Avenue Consultants right now to try to get our ATMS servers up. And that will be up and functional in the next few months, and all of our intersections will be on there, and you guys will see some of the benefits of some of that as well. As an example, those of you that have used the ATMS and known what a pain in the butt it is to configure everything, one of the requests we made was that they create a template that would make it much easier. We were thinking, okay, they'll make a template like for an 8-phase, for a 4-phase, or something like that. But what they ended up doing, actually, because of the way our detection is and the way it was mapped, and in meeting with them, we came up with the idea of where they basically say, okay, we're going to look at this intersection and anything that's been live for the last day, we're going to map it. And it creates the map from just seeing whatever live data has happened over the last 24 hours. It says there's a lane, there's a lane, there's a lane. And it seems pretty promising. And that's just one example. There are other improvements and other things that we're hoping to come out of that as well. And we will still be providing and cooperating every bit of data we're sending over to McDOT, that they are currently getting from us and then some. But our goal is probably within, by the end of this next year, to have everything in Gilbert mapped, laid out, and on that, ATMS and utilizing some of those features that are in development right now. And some that we already have, but integrating like our dashboard for all of our traffic counts, which we already have, and it works great, but it's something that Gary created, and integrating that with the ATMS and having them mimic a version of that, would be great. So that's going on. And then also for those who may be in the consulting world, there is supposed to be an advertisement from ADOT very soon for our fiber mapping software to come out. So that should be in the next little bit, and that also was funded, through this committee. So thank you for everyone on all of that. And there's probably more, but that's the highlights. Is there anyone else that would like to? No?
Mr. Chair, I think Ruben Lopez had his hand raised. And now,
go ahead, Ruben.
This is just a general update portion, right? Okay. City of Glendale activated 2 new Hawk signals about 2 weeks ago. That's pretty much the update for Glendale. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Susan Anderson has her hand up.
Go ahead, Susan.
All right. for everyone who's probably been aware, ADOT has been undergoing a reorganization. So the TISMO division is no longer. All of the groups that were within the TISMO division have now been realigned under the MPD, IDO, or the state engineer's office. The bulk of the groups actually do fall under IDO now. As of Monday, we do have a new deputy state engineer, that is Brad Burgess, and he is heading up our new transportation technology group. And so those of you that might be wondering, that group consists of my team, which is the systems technology team, the systems maintenance team. There's the broadband fiber communications and permits group, as well as another group that's going to oversee all the pumps, tunnels, lightings, and kind of the other miscellaneous technology. So at least on the ADOT side, we're getting all technology grouped together. So we are currently adjusting to the reorganization and getting familiar with how things are going to work. So if you have any issues reaching folks, that might be what's going on. Just please be patient with us. For consultant side or others that might be interested, the Loop 101 mobility project, we do plan to advertise for that decision support system, hopefully within the next couple months. So just a heads up that that will be coming out soon. Other than that, that's all I've got. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Susan. Are there any others?
None, Mr. Chair.
All right. Are there any other comments from either those present or those online that they would like to inform us about? It is freezing in here. I just put, if you heard that thumping, that was my jacket hitting my microphone earlier. But anyways, all right. With that, we'll go ahead and move on to item number 9. Well, we're still on 9, but just letting you guys know that the next ITS meeting will be May 7th. If you can make sure you get that, on your calendars as well. I know it's always hard for me to keep up with it. I appreciate anything that anyone sends me to remind me and make sure it gets on there. Especially with haven't had one since November. It just wasn't there today. So anyways, thank you so much for everyone and for all of your efforts. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.